Well, we're back on the main line here again at the Eau Galle Scenic Railway. And behind me, you can see our main line. We're up at the big cut, looking down into the big cut. And as you can see, we've started laying our top ballast. Now we're going to try to get this section from the cornfield to the camera's right, all the way through the big cut, around and up to our switch before we can't do it anymore, before the snow hits. So we're starting in the middle. We're kind of working our way north down toward the cornfield on the long straightaway here. So we're going to be showing you a little bit of how we did that, and then some progress shots as we complete it. And then after we get all this ballast laid out, we're going to bring our ballast broom in, and we're going to broom it off, level it off, and we should be good to go. And then after that, we can go through, if we have time, we can go through and tamp up some of the low spots. We do have low spots that need to be brought up, and we've got some squiggles we need to fix and a couple of sun kinks that need attention. So we're going to be kind of working on that throughout the next week or so here, and until we get the thing done. So stick around and we'll show you some of that. So we have our flat cars here, and we're going to be putting ballast in these cars and shoveling it off into some of the spots we cannot reach with a skid loader. We don't have a lot of those spots here on the railroad, but there are some that are very inaccessible, so we're going to be doing that today. We'll put these sheets down, and then we'll put the sides back on the car so the ballast doesn't spill off the sides, and we'll go after those hard to get spots.
full operation. So it's never gone past that?
I've never gone past the end of the cornfield.
Oh, okay.
I'm Judith, my friend Joe and Sierra. We're looking to put some goats out here for Dave to clear out buckthorn and unwanted weeds along his scenic railway. So this is going to take us down hopefully where we can fence into some fresh water. We check the goats 2 or 3 times a day. We do portable electric woven fence. It's plastic with some wire in it with a solar system so that it's electric. We just have to make sure we'll have a spot where the sun will hit our panel to charge it correctly, and we have spare batteries and that type of thing to make sure we don't run out. Our goal is to keep the goats in and any predators such as bear, bobcat, coyote, stray dogs out of the pasture while we're doing that. So as you can see, there's a lot of undergrowth here. Some of it, a lot of it is buckthorn or other what we consider weedy undergrowth that we would like to clear out to allow the trees to be more healthy. I'm not good enough to name all of the different ones. Most of it people are familiar with buckthorn, which has some thorns plus the little tiny berries. An interesting fact about using goats to clear out buckthorn is that when they eat the berries are rendered sterile in the goat's gut, and when it passes out, those seeds are no longer viable to grow. Joe and I are walking in here to assess where we can put up our fence for the goats. We'll need a spot by the road to put up our electric solar fence, which will give the goats a light shock. If they touch it, it keeps predators out, as I said before. So Joe is looking at the amount of buckthorn that the goats are going to be able to handle and talk a little bit about that.
So we're looking at how much forage there is, how long they'll be able to be in here, and what they can do. A tree this size, they'll come in and they'll actually come down and bend it over and eat not only the bark, but the top of the tree there too. In this area, there is a lot of smaller stuff that they'll be able to take out, and they'll strip the bark. Once the bark has been stripped, the next year the tree's dead. So that is a way to clear out this buckthorn. It dies from the roots and it won't come back up. However, when you start looking at in here, there are some big trees. Once they get to be about this big around, the goats won't eat the bark, and those will have to be removed mechanically. Goats do not like trees. They won't eat the bark of, like this is an elm tree. They won't eat oaks, and they won't eat large cherry trees. So those nice trees will stay here and keep this a nice wooded area. But they will remove all of this nice green stuff all the way to a nice browse line. The goats that we have are large, full-size goats, so they can reach up to about 8 feet. So there'll be a nice green line that you'll see after this is all done.
So over the past couple of weeks, we've been featuring some of the tools that we use on the railroad. Up till now, it's been mostly tools that we've made for the railroad. But today we've got a power tool that we have started to use for tamping the track. A lot of small railroads will use actual jackhammers, or they'll have jackhammers that are mounted on tampers, tamping cars, where they can go along and tamp the track. We're not to that point yet. We have to do almost everything manually. So we have this Hilti TE 500-22. It is not a jackhammer, but it's almost like a mini jackhammer. It's an agitator, kind of gives a vibration, a very strong vibration off. And what they use it for is for taking the bubbles out of concrete. We've got this one set up with a chisel on the end, and it originally came with a short chisel, and so we had to extend it. Justin, if you want to pick that up and show everybody. To make it a little bit more comfortable to use, it has this long extension that Todd, our welder, has put on it, and we haven't used it much since that was done. But we're going to show you today just kind of how it works and how we use it. Justin's going to tamp this tie on one side, and basically what it does is it agitates the ballast and allows the ballast to settle underneath the ties. And so go ahead, Justin, and give him a show.
Power button right there, trigger, and then there's a lock on top.
And that's it. Now, it doesn't seem like much, but it's very important because it's almost impossible to get rock underneath ties, even if the ties are up high, just using hand tools. So this is going to help us out an awful lot. We have used it, like I say before, and it does work. It's a little heavier than it used to be. Justin's not real happy with that, but on the other hand, if we do shorter stretches of track, it'll be a little easier on them. So that's our agitator, and it's a lot better than shovels and picks.
And now we're going to go back and revisit our ballast crew as they continue their project down near the creek. And Stephanie is going to load up our next ballast train for us.
So we're on the main line here, right west of what we've called our swamp. It's kind of a wetland area here with a relatively tall 3-4 foot berm on it. And a lot of this area, we've been waiting for it to dry out all summer. It's wet down here almost all year long. And we finally got to a point where it's dry enough where we can get skid loaders in from both sides, as you see in the background. We can bring in the ballast and lay it on both sides without having to try to throw it from one side to the other, which we sometimes have to do. The crew is just wrapping up this section of the track. As you can see, it looks absolutely beautiful, very impressive. Now we can take out the little squiggles that have been sitting here for the last year. There's some areas that need to be tamped up, but this is our next step for this section. We finally got this done. So it's been a good day on the railroad.
So on the 22nd of September, we had our fall color run on the railroad. We had a great crowd. It was an 8-hour event. We went from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. that day. The weather was beautiful. Upper 60s, a lot of sunshine. The crowds were spread out throughout the day, so we didn't get hit with a lot of people at one time, so it worked out really well. We did not feel overwhelmed. We didn't have any mechanical problems or any other problems that I can think of. Well, that was a really fun time. Probably one of our best events that we've done so far.
Right about here, we usually say the ride up is free, but you gotta pay $50 a person to get a ride back. It's a joke that sometimes goes over, sometimes doesn't. But right back there, you can see the switch, and that switch is where we're gonna have a loop up here on the top of the hill. We're not quite to the top yet, but we're pretty close. And so this switch went in last week, and this 200 feet just got done. And yeah, you guys probably know everything. Back there with Phil, he's probably got it all taken care of. But yeah, the locomotives were made in England and used in Canada. And when we got them, they were pretty ugly. And Phil came up with the dream of what they were supposed to look like, and Todd made it happen. Just like the passenger cars, it's Phil's design, and Todd did all the welding. And yeah, so the flat cars up there that have the rail on, they came from the Baraboo Armory or the Baraboo Munitions Factory, and we think the top flats, the steel part of the flats, we think go all the way back to pre-1920 World War I era. The wheel sets we believe are from the 40s World War II era. And anything else we should say, Phil, before we head back? No. Good. All right. And Bill Schramm has helped us lay a lot of track. He's our conductor. And Judith is in conductor training. She hasn't got the hat and the outfit yet, but we're working on that. So, and that's pretty much it. Let her rip, Todd.